Okay, it's about 6:45 in the morning, and I have this is all I'm going to be taking is this one medium-sized suitcase. I've got roughly well, I have four changes of clothes plus what I'm wearing, so it's five changes of clothes. I would say about this much of it is just electronic cables, accessories for the GoPro, things like that. The other 80% is clothes. Well, clothes and just miscellaneous stuff. But it's not very heavy. It's probably 30 pounds, maybe 40 pounds worth. And then I'll be taking this backpack, which has, the laptop and the camera gear. But that's pretty much it. I'm just going to take these two items. The backpack has everything I really, really don't want to lose. So like my laptop, my backup hard drive, that kind of stuff. I've got my passport and all my paperwork printed out. And so getting ready to head out to LAX and get going. Okay, well, it's been about 12 hours on the plane here, and now we're over in Shanghai. I think I slept through about 60-70% of the flight, except for the meal times. And yeah, so I'm pretty much at the back of the plane. I usually get the back of the plane because occasionally I luck out because nobody wants to be back here usually. And sometimes I luck out and I get the whole 3 seats to myself, but not this time. That's okay though. Anyway, so I've got about a 5-hour layover here and then heading out to catch my next flight. I had no idea what these massive lit structures were out floating in the water. I later found out that they're barges where they grow dragon fruit, and they require light 24 hours a day in order to grow properly. Well, it's now my third day in Vietnam, and so much has happened. Good stuff. Just really, it's been every bit an adventure that I'd hoped for and more. Now, there is, even just in these 3 days, there's so much that I could share with you and tell you, and I'm just going to have to do it in more detail later. What I'll do today, right now, is share with you my first impressions. My first impressions these first 3 days getting here. Now, I arrived at the airport at about 1 in the morning. The visa requirements are a little bit different than they are for the Philippines. So I already knew that, and I was prepared. I had all my documentation ready. And again, I'll cover that in more detail at a later time. I also have a buddy that I've known for several years, since Dumaguete and Cebu, a buddy of mine, Jason Silverman, and he was good enough to meet me at the airport here in Ho Chi Minh City. He'd already been here, I think, about 6-8 weeks ago, and prior to that, he was in Thailand. Prior to that, he was in the Philippines. So, so that was kind of nice, and I would recommend that if you do know somebody, it's not necessary, but it really did make things flow a bit smoother. I was able to basically get through the immigration process. Get a grab to my Airbnb, which I had already reserved about I think I reserved it like 3 weeks in advance. And so I already had a place to stay for like 2 weeks. Now, as it turned out, I gave myself 2 weeks in order to find an apartment, and meanwhile I would stay at the Airbnb. I stayed over, as you probably saw earlier in the video, or unless I haven't edited that yet, over in Vinh Homes. Now, Vinh Homes is a very upscale, brand new, I would even say maybe luxurious area of Ho Chi Minh City. And I decided to just be really comfortable, and I got a place there very inexpensively, again, through Airbnb. I was able to work out a pretty neat deal. And not much negotiating, it was a good deal to begin with. And I was giving myself 2 weeks to find an apartment. I ended up getting this apartment after looking at another one, and I've got video of that, so I'll share that later. And I'm just telling you, first impressions. I love the place. I mean, I really love what I see. Now, before you start, booking your tickets for Vietnam and thinking, well, Reekay likes it, so I'm going. I'll say this. that, and I've said this about the Philippines, Vietnam is not for everyone. And even more so with that applies than the Philippines, because there's certain parameters in place here with Vietnam that I think most people, most expats, are going to find themselves having an easier and more pleasant experience long term. And and that's usually the big ticket item is living abroad long term. It's easy to vacation for a week or two, but if you're looking at a long term place to stay, the Philippines is still, I would say, the number one place to be. Um, just to give you a quick reason why I say that, for me, Vietnam is fantastic. It fits what I'm looking for, and it fits what I'm willing to do. But for instance, I went to go to order just some lunch, and I was by myself, and I just found this place, and I knew it was an eatery, but I couldn't read anything that was written on the wall. So I went in, sat down, and it just turned out that their menu has no pictures of the food at all. And there's no pictures on the wall, nothing. And so I'm looking at this menu of all text written in Vietnamese, and I may as well have held it upside down. It didn't mean anything to me. So then the waitress came by, and I was trying to be as polite as possible. And I just said, now here's the thing, here's the big takeaway from this video is the biggest issue you're going to run into in Vietnam is going to be the language. All I wanted to do was order anything that was pho, anything that was noodles with a bit of chicken or beef. That's all I wanted. And a Coke or maybe, or a water, or whatever, tea, anything they had. And that was pretty much impossible. And I was speaking slower does not help. Okay, so if you say, I would like pho, they still don't get it. Because they don't speak English and you don't speak Vietnamese. Now, it just happened out of sheer bad luck. I went to the one place on the entire street that does not serve pho, and they do not serve banh mi sandwiches. I went into a place that was pure seafood, and nothing on the wall told you that. But through a course of trial and error, she's like no pho, no pho, and then she's shaking her head, banh mi, no banh mi, And I'm like, okay, I don't know what to order because there's no pictures. And so I got out Google Translate and I asked her, do you have chicken? Now that helped a little bit. At that point, now we were communicating. But by that point, I'm staying calm, I'm being polite, but she's freaking out. She's getting upset and she's yelling back at her mother, like 30 feet behind her. Like, has he ordered yet? It's like, I'm trying. And so the energy level started getting higher and higher. And so I show her the Google thing and I said, anything with chicken. And she's like, no. And I'm like, no chicken. I said, okay. So I typed in beef and she's like, no. And then she takes the phone, she types in, fish. Now, I don't really, unless it's like a fish taco or fish and chips, that's about as adventurous as I get with fish. I'm just really not crazy about fish. So I really was not going to eat. I didn't want fish soup or something. For all I know, I would have gotten just a big grilled fish and I'm just not going to do that. So anyways, so I told her very politely, I said, okay, well, thank you, but no. Now, she doesn't understand a word I'm saying, of course. And so I got up to leave, and then they were both upset. So I just left, and it didn't get any worse than that. So not knowing the language, first impressions, if you're going to stay here for just a week or two, you can get by. You can do the Google Translate, and you can kind of get by. Or you can go where the backpackers go, and do the touristy type thing where all the tourist restaurants speak English. And you're going to have basically the same experience that all the other tourists have by sticking to that tourist path and where they speak English. And that's great. It's enjoyable. It's fun. But you're not really going to get into the nooks and crannies of Vietnam until you really find a way to get around the language. And like I said, the Google Translate thing helps to a degree, but you don't have time to sit there and type out long, complex sentences. Usually it's like, have pho, and they're like, yeah, pho, okay, hey, beef, yeah, beef. And then they bring you the beef, the beef pho. So you're not going to have really deep conversations, with your waitress that way. So that was my first impression, is that I'm willing to give it a chance. I'm willing to be open-minded. I'm trying to learn words as I go. I've been posting a few of them on Facebook. In fact, those of you who are on my Facebook have been, from the get-go, been getting updates. So if you want to know what's going on, like every day, every hour, whatever, you don't even have to, you can add me if I've still got room. I think I got about 200 spots left. But even if my spots get used up on Facebook, you can just follow and you'll get the notifications when I post new stuff. And so I've been sharing just different pictures and little short videos that I don't post on YouTube. There's some videos that I post exclusively on Facebook. So if you want to see those, just go to my Facebook. I'll put it here on the screen. And you can just follow. Just hit the follow button if you want. You can also do add again if there's room. And so my first day, my very first few hours when I woke up, the important thing was to get internet. Without internet, you're pretty much lost because you can't use Google Translate. You can't use Grab. Having internet. Now here's the thing. In order to have internet in Vietnam, especially as a foreigner, you go to buy the SIM card. It's not like the Philippines where you just give them 50 pesos, they give you a SIM card, and you stick it in your phone, you're on your way. It's not like that. Here, you register your SIM card the way you would register your car or property or anything else. So as a foreigner, you go into the office and you tell them, hey, I want to buy a SIM card so that I can do a data plan. They're like, sure, no problem. We'll help you out. Give me your passport. Now, don't freak out. You're not giving them your passport to hang on to it for 6 months. They're gonna hold it and just get the data off of it to associate your name and your address and your country of origin to that SIM card. And then not even 5 minutes later, they hand it to you. You're right there in the office. It's not disappearing in some catacomb somewhere. You hand it to them. 5 minutes later, they hand it to you back. And then when you get the SIM card, that SIM number and ID is now matched to your passport. No different than registering your name to your automobile with the DMV. It's just that they require it for a SIM card. At that point, I then got a data plan. Now, I'll go into the data plans later. Basically, I got a really inexpensive one that so far has worked everywhere I've gone. But then again, I'm in the middle of Ho Chi Minh City. So it's been working great for me. I'm getting like 4G. I think at one point I was getting 5G, I think. No, I think it was 4G. 5G was here at the house. And it's been working great for me. It was through MobiFone, and it's about $20 for 20 gigs per 30 days, which is more than enough because I have a signal here at the house, and there's free signals just about everywhere you go. So with internet being, taken care of first, then the next thing was I was able to get Grab, which again, because you cannot speak with the driver, having Grab is pretty essential. There's one other, like dial a motorcycle type thing. I can't think of the name of it. It's something like Vingo or something like that. I'll get it here later for you. But with Grab, I was able to type in the destination. It already knew my current location. And just those of you who use Grab, you don't have to speak with the driver. You know, he shows up, you look at this license plate, you get in, or in this case, you climb on the bike. I was using grab bike a lot. And then off you go. And then you get there and you pay him. Now, if you're going to stay long term, you get a bank account, and then you can just put credit on it, and you don't even have to deal with giving him cash. Now, here's a couple of things. Again, God, there's just so much to cover. It's going to take a while. But as far as first impressions, getting back to that, I'm really impressed. I am truly impressed. And I'll tell you why more in detail later, but I mean, it's just so many of the little things. It's the little things. You know, I often have talked about like the weirdness you just have to be prepared for in the Philippines. The weirdness level here in Vietnam is very low, very low. But when it comes to language, it's extremely high. And in the Philippines, everybody speaks English or enough English that it's not even an issue, you know. But then there's other weirdness that seems to compensate for it. So it's really a yin and yang. It's not even a good and bad. It's just you're either going to be prepared to take on the challenge of being in a country where communicating, unless you know Vietnamese, is going to be a real issue. And I came here knowing that, and I'm making the effort. Like I said, on my Facebook, I'll post like a word that I learned that day. And like I know chicken is like ga, you know, ga. I know it's not a big word, but I mean, little by little. There's a lot more that I'll talk about later that you really need to consider before you go and book a flight to come out to Vietnam. I will say this, that it's a welcome challenge to me. I like a challenge. I like difference. I like having to problem solve. If you just want to get off the plane and relax, then definitely go to the Philippines, okay? If you just want to get off the plane and slip into an apartment and hang out at the beach and order some food and go across town and meet a girl and talk, go to the Philippines. Now, if you want a challenge, if you want to problem solve, if you want to deal with a language you don't know, well, then come to Vietnam, you know, and you'll be challenged. And I've enjoyed it. I truly have. I am so happy here. As many of you know, I'm a foodie. The food selection here is amazing. I mean, and I'm going to mom and pop shops just out in the residential neighborhoods. I'm going to the malls, but so far, I think I've eaten at McDonald's one burger. Other than that, everything else I've been having has been Vietnamese food. And it's just so tasty, so good, so fresh. It's, man, I'm going to have to devote quite a few videos to some of the different dishes they have here. Just really good, low calorie count. I mean, just very good food, very good food. So if you're into food, man, this is the place to be. Now, I haven't been to Thailand yet. I heard the food's very good in Thailand as well, and I do love pad thai. But so far here in Vietnam, I'm telling you, I have just relished every meal I've had. It's been that good. So anyways, other first impressions, I guess the big one is, again, just the little things. In one word, quality. There's a lot of attention to doing things the right way in all these little things. I'll give you one small example. At one of the grocery stores that I went to inside the mall, there's an escalator that goes up to the next floor. Now, it's not the escalator that goes like turns into steps. This one is more like a treadmill. It's just one flat surface. It's made out of metal, you know, links and all that. And so you get on it and you just stand there and it takes you up. But if you have a shopping cart and you got your stuff in the shopping cart, you get on that treadmill. It's, I don't know, maybe it's a 35 to 40 degree angle. same as an escalator. You get on that thing and you push your shopping cart on it, and right away they have it wired. I don't know if they use microwave or whatever, but somehow they run a signal on the escalator so that when you put the shopping cart on the escalator, it locks the wheels. Same way as the wheels lock for some grocery stores, that when the signal on the shopping cart gets so far away from the front door, it locks the wheels. Same basic thing. So you're going along with your shopping cart. You want to go up to the next level. You just get on the treadmill. You don't have to push and make sure, and there's no carts that are going to go rolling down the treadmill. They already thought of that. The wheels lock. I know it's not a big thing, but it's so many little things. For instance, my apartment. My apartment has a balcony, and most of it is glass and just open so that I have a view. And I was wondering why it was that only on the corner of one side they had installed these slats. And they're like maybe bigger than 2x4, but they're made of aluminum, and they're installed very nicely. And it was today when the sun passed by. The sun never beats directly on my balcony, but at one point in the day, the sun would have come into my room, but because of the way they angled these aluminum slats, it reflected the light away, which helps with the air conditioning and the bill and whatever. And so rather than just, okay, we put a border on the patio onto the next thing, somebody took the time to realize that at that time of day, the sun will come in, and they did something about it that looks artistic and nice. So many little things. For instance, hot water. The apartments that I did look at, they have solar hot water heaters up on the roof. So you take all the hot water you want. Take hot showers. There's tons of hot water up there. So, that's nice. You're using an on-demand heating device that's running up your electric bill. You've got all this solar-powered, solar-heated water up there on the roof, and there's a lot of it. Lots of little things, construction, things that would maybe be made in plastic somewhere else are made out of stainless steel here. Instead of, like for instance, I've got here appliances. Instead of it being some bizarre Chinese brand I never heard of, just about everything in my apartment is made by Toshiba. The refrigerator, the lamp, I think even the rice cooker is programmable. It's not just one button, you push it. You can put a timer on it. It'll tell you the date and the time. It'll make rice for you the next morning if you want. I just kind of stuck it up in the closet. I'm not going to use it. I'm trying to stay away from rice. But just as a point, they didn't just provide a rice cooker. It's a programmable rice cooker. I'm surprised it doesn't have like a, I don't know, DVD player in it or something. But everything has just been really quality, really, really nice quality. So I'll leave you with that for now, but I am editing other stuff and I'll be updating you. There's just so much to share about the big things and the nuances of Vietnam. So again, if you haven't already, follow on my Facebook. Again, there's little videos and pictures and things that I share there that you don't see here on the YouTube channel. So if you want to get those, just click the follow button or send me an ad request. As long as I have space, I'll add you in there. Okay, so see you more, and wow, so much more to talk about. See you then. Bye-bye.